Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out once again to the doctor's office. I go by the name of the ear doctor. And today we have a special edition of the doctor's office. Before we even get started with that, make sure y'all hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell, all that. Be a part of knowing when all this stuff is coming out on Black Power Media. Listen, I'm glad y'all here. First of all, I wanted to pretty much start to get into understanding my life story, who I am as becoming a man, and all that stuff. So I was like, it's a lot of things I need to learn about my history, and then this is going to help me to get a better understanding to talk to my youth and everything. You know what I'm saying? So they can know, because mostly in culture, the women hold the culture. They know about all the stuff that goes on, the stories. They like the griots and all that. You know what I mean? So I was like, you know what? I got to bring somebody that knows me, knows my history, and all that, and is a very dope sister. Not just a regular sister, but my sister. Give it up for my sister, Rori Batts. Yeah. What up? What up? What up?
Hey.
Hey, what's good? Man, so you do you see? First of all, I had to show them. I'm in my background. I'm in Trenton, real quick. Let me give them a little look. That's
In
down one of
Trenton.
the. And
Dirty
you don't
Trenton.
say
Dirty
you don't,
Jersey.
dirty Jersey. You don't say Trenton. You say Trenton.
Trenton.
Word. So
Like you
that's what
read.
it is. So pretty much, like I said, I wanted to bring you here so we could talk about. We got a very interesting life. You know what I mean? A hell of a story. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, yo, let me start to get an understanding of the stuff that went on, because I forgot a lot. I ain't gonna say why I forgot a lot, but a lot of brain cells have been smoldered away. But anyway, yo, first of all, we're from Trenton, New Jersey. What made you even to go to DC? What made you say I'm moving to DC, Chocolate City?
My fiance.
Okay, and that happened, and you stayed there, huh? You
That
love the
happened.
place.
Yeah, I lost him, but I love the place.
Hmm.
The Aggie family was so nurturing to me going through that loss.
Mm.
I stayed. I had to stay.
Now, when you say the Aggie family, you talking about your college? Who the Aggie Pride? Who is
North
that?
Carolina A&T, Aggie Pride, nationwide. Yeah.
Word. Hey, I remember you took me to a party there one time when I was like in high school.
Right. Y'all came to visit for a weekend. Yeah. We
Man,
party like no other.
listen, if I could tell y'all about the different parties that I got into as a youngster dealing with this one right here,
Way too young.
concerts, all that. Well, we're gonna get into all that. First, let's
Right.
rewind. Let's rewind, because I wanted to get into talking about our parents, Robert Lee Batts and my mother, Ruth Elizabeth Batts. Now they made their transition, mommy and daddy. And it's funny. It's still hard. I called them pops because we got to a certain level. I was calling pops, so I stopped calling them daddy. You still call them daddy. It's
My
wild.
daddy.
Yeah. So let's talk about, first of all. Let's talk about them. They made their transition. I believe I was 15 and when mom passed, and I think I was 17 when pop passed. Was it 2 years?
No, it was 5 years.
Five
You were
years?
20. You were 20. Hmm.
Word?
You had just started Morris Brown.
I did. That's right, because I took a year off.
Right.
So pretty much, dad came from Austin, Texas, right? Now
Austin,
tell me about pops. Let's start with pops first.
So, Daddy was highly intelligent. Mommy was too, but Daddy, they both had college, skipped classes,
Yeah.
skipped grades in school. So
Oh
they
wow.
both graduated really early. Daddy graduated at 16
Mm.
and forged documents in order to go into the Air Force early. So, um, although it
Wow.
was a very established family,
Hmm.
our grandmother was one of the premier caterers in Austin, Texas. She catered for the governor of
Mm.
Texas. which
Oh
was
wow.
unheard of back in like the 40s and the 50s to have not this black woman as your maid, but as your caterer, and you paying her
Mm.
to
Like
host
I ain't no servant.
no,
I I make
not
the
a
food. We do
servant. Don't
business.
get it twisted. I get the bag.
Yeah.
So very prestigious family. Yeah,
Word.
Walker
Word.
family. There are we have an aunt. Well, not an aunt. She's a cousin, one of
Mm.
Daddy's first cousins, who was also a nurse for the governor's mother
Mm.
of Texas. So he lived in the governor's mansion with the governor of Texas, taking care of his mother.
What?
That's the
Okay.
same cousin that took care of Daddy in his last days as well.
Mm. And now let me let the people know the reason I'm really asking these questions is because with them passing at an early age, we never really got to have conversations and really talk because you still
Right.
looked at it as a child, especially for me. I never had these
Right.
conversations. So, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take it to mom, Alabama, Midway, Alabama, the dirty
Midway,
country.
Alabama, Barber County, Alabama, came
Wow.
from absolutely nothing. Dirt
Mm,
roads, um, dirt floors, tin roof shack that they lived in. She had five siblings. Her mother was actually pregnant when she passed away at
mm.
32 years old, I want to say.
Wow. That's
And
Ivory.
Ivory, right,
Now this is what I name my daughter's middle name is Ivory. Continue.
right.
Hmm.
Miss Ivory Walker Foster
Hmm.
is our grandmother's name. Yeah, but very, very, very poor. But
Mm,
it's shocking how much her and her siblings accomplished in their lives and
hmm,
the wealth that they accumulated coming
mm.
from such rural beginnings.
Yeah, yeah. And was it I always would come home and see mom with the cover over her head sleeping. Now tell the story that you know why she would always wear a cover over her head while she was sleeping.
Literally. So she was used to sleeping with the comforter, blanket, whatever they had, completely over their bodies, including covering their head because they had no heat.
Hmm.
And, it was down in the country of Alabama, but the winters got cold,
Yeah.
like 30s, 40s degrees, and you got a coal um, stove and an actual stove where they put logs in that would sit in the middle of the room. I can remember
Mm.
we would go to that shack every summer, and
Wow.
mommy would tell me little stories about growing up in that tin roof shack, one room shack.
So seven people in one room, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a big room, but
I mean, I'm
like,
saying you had to go outside to change your mind.
compared to the what is that, 4 bedroom, 3 bathroom house, what was it? Four upstairs, two downstairs, so that's six. Yeah.
Mm.
Compared to, you know, where they lived, and then the house that mommy designed and completely built herself
See,
down
you
in
going too
Florida.
you going too far. You going too far. That's really bad.
Just the comparison is really mind blowing.
Yeah, it really is. Cause I was like, so they both was in Alabama and in Texas. So daddy's in the Air Force.
Daddy left for the Air Force and
Mm.
never moved back to Texas.
Okay, okay. And wound up moving to Jersey, Trenton.
Retired at McGuire Air Force Base. That was
Okay.
his last station. Retired at like early 30s because he went in at 16 years old. So
Mm,
by the time he was 35, he had maxed out,
mm. So what was it that got mom to move from Alabama to Jersey?
leaving her husband. She left
Ah,
she
yeah.
left her husband, who she found out was bisexual.
Okay. Like Fred G. Sanford say.
The
So
the
she found out how you
Mhm.
doing? Word. So she found that out and was like, "Yo, I am out," and went to Trenton. I mean,
Yeah.
who out of all the places you got New York, Philly, and you pick Trenton?
She had a friend
Mm,
that she had grown up with who was a dentist in Trenton who invited her to come and just visit, and she liked it. So
okay.
she stayed.
All right. So boom. So she's up there. Pops is up there. So how I'm hearing the story, how they met is she's moving into the same apartment building that he stays in. He looks out the window and sees her moving and was like, "Oh, word!" And then he go down there. he peeped the scene, right? He's like,
Yeah,
he's
she
like,
ain't got
okay.
no help. There ain't no man helping her. Oh, let me go offer my assistance because
You
that's
know what
what
I'm saying? Let
a
me
good
find
Southern
out.
gentleman does. He offers assistance to the pretty lady.
So, all right. So, boom. After that, goes and helps her move in. And I'm hearing you said within 2 months they got married.
2 months they were married.
Your boy don't play. Pops don't play. I guess he was. And around what age was this when they got married?
So daddy was 35.
Mm,
Mommy had to be
31.
31.
Okay, man. All right. So they get married within 2 months. Wow.
2 months.
Um, they get married within 2 months, and then they move out to what are their occupations at this time? They get married, then they move to they still on in East State Trent. They on East State in Trenton.
Yeah, I don't know what moved them from that apartment. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I do know now that I think about it. Yeah, so daddy bought a building, an apartment building on East State Street in Trenton. So they
Okay.
moved into one of those units.
Mm.
And um, mommy had had some fertility issues. And I don't think they tried to get pregnant. I think they planned on adopting from the beginning because mommy had had some problems with fertility in the past from her first marriage. So she knew that these were issues that she was going to have. So, uh, from what they told me, it took them 10 months to go through the adoption process.
Now, what are you talking about? Here comes the bomb because people don't even know what you're talking about right now. Who got adopted?
I got adopted. That's it.
Ah,
That's me. They adopted
okay.
me. They used to always tease me that it took them longer to adopt me than it would have taken them to actually have their own child.
Wow. So they're told mom is told in her 30s already that she's possibly can't have any kids by the
Right,
doctors. So
right,
they're like, all right, well, we're gonna have a kid. So
right,
they go to the adoption agency. Next thing you know, they find you in New York.
right.
So, oh wow. So they find you in New York. Now, what let's stay there, but let's go back a little further. Now, what's up with your biological parents? What happened? How did you wind up being in getting adopted?
My father was a Rolling Stone.
Oh, word.
So, my father was a little older than my mother.
Hmm.
They both came from Bermuda, lived in Manhattan, and my father was married. My parents had been together for years. My mother followed my father to New York, to
Mm,
Manhattan, got pregnant with me, and he wouldn't divorce his wife. So
hmm,
my mother was completely ashamed. This is 1968. Bermuda is very English, very
mm,
British. I have a huge family there. She was completely mortified and embarrassed that this man that she had been with for years wouldn't marry her, even though she was having his child.
Mm-hmm.
So she she actually disappeared. She never told her family about the pregnancy, um, and she disappeared for a few months. Uh, the month that she had me, and disappeared for about 3 months afterwards because it was very hard on her.
Mm. And so, whatever happened to your parents?
They both passed away before I found the family.
Oh, okay, okay. So you were at the adoption agency for how long before mom and pops found you?
So I went straight into foster care from birth, from the hospital.
Okay.
Um, my biological mother would come and visit me, would take me on weekends and stuff like that. But I was a very clingy baby, and
Mm-hmm.
I at that point started getting closer, or naturally was upset with my biological mother coming in and taking me on the weekends because I had then bonded with my foster mother.
Mm.
So we're 2 years in, and my mother realized that it was traumatizing for me to have her come and take me on weekends. Um, so she, in that time, was also trying to get my father to marry her,
Mm.
and he just wouldn't. So uh, since it was so hard, and she saw me getting, or the bond that I had formed with my foster mother, she
Yeah.
realized that it was unhealthy for me. So
Mm.
she finally relinquished custody
Mm.
uh, in May of 71. So I
Okay.
was 2.5 years old.
2.5 years old, and coming from Trenton, New Jersey, comes two people that's like, "Yo, I want to have a child in my life." So it goes from, dealing with that as in, all right, this is a whole situation right here, feeling like, all right, they don't want me, to somebody that really wants you. So how was that transition of being with them? How was life growing up with them at that time? Especially being, all right, you're adopted, you're in a new city, they're already doing their thing. How was that?
Well, I'm told, because I don't remember, but I'm told it was
Mm,
very hard for me because, like I said, I had bonded with my foster mother, and here come these
mm,
strangers.
mm.
They were like, they told me that I cried the entire drive home from New York to
Wow.
Trenton. That's a 45-minute drive. This kid is in the back seat screaming her head off.
Wow. I could imagine.
And they tell me that, or they told me that it took months for me to even adjust to people. I was afraid of people. I guess, not guess, I went through separation anxiety
Mm,
from my foster mother. And so people terrified me. And I can remember being in the vestibule of Uncle Willie's church,
mm.
and people would come and talk to me because we were a part of that first family.
Yeah,
And
so stop right there before you go there. We part of, you said Uncle Willie, first family. Now, all right, at this time, you got to understand what our parents do, what our uncle and aunt, what positions they have. You know what I mean? So first, let's start with pops. At this time, what is he doing? Like, how does he make money?
so he transitioned from the Air Force into teaching. He
Hmm.
was teaching at a junior high school in Trenton called Junior Number Five.
All right, that's a badass school. Listen, I heard about Junior Five. It's like you will never be going to this school. Trust and believe. All
Right.
right, he was doing that. Plus, you said he was dealing with real estate.
Yeah, he had started buying buildings. Like I said, that he had bought that building on East State Street that they moved into when they, I guess, when after they got married. Well, when he bought the building, because they were in the apartment when they got married. But when he bought the
Okay.
building, he lived in one of the units.
And
And
now,
it's like
what is mom's occupation, and what else
mommy
did she
was
do?
mommy was a teacher down in Alabama, so she continued to teach when she came up to Trenton.
Hmm. And she was teaching. Well, let me let you know, my mom is a seamstress. Our mom, my bad. Our mom is a seamstress, and she taught home economics, right?
Right.
So she taught that in some other education type, what, reading or something. I don't know, but she definitely did home economics.
No,
So
yes.
she,
No,
with
she
that said,
taught
as I was saying, as in bringing in the money and everything, different ways they brought in money. She also was a seamstress. So she would, as you would tell me, she had a big sewing room, would make dresses, prom dresses, wedding dresses, all types of dresses for her students at these schools. All right. So that was that. And now we're talking about her sister, who is my Aunt Ruby. She married Uncle Willie, who were
Willie
both
James.
Willie James, both from Alabama. So that's Ruby Sanders and Willie J. Sanders. So they get together,
Right.
and what is Uncle Willie? He's like, you got paint the picture for who Uncle Willie is to Trenton.
Oh, uh, the Friendship Baptist Church is the second largest Baptist church in Trenton.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there was twice in his pastoral career where he was the moderator of the Southern Baptist Convention,
Mm,
which is a huge honor to lead the Southern Baptist Convention.
mm,
So it was prestige all everywhere we went.
yeah.
This
Be-
was our family.
yeah, because like we were saying earlier, it's like we come from a family of service. It was all about educating, helping people, educating spirituality to the religious part of dealing with people, all that. And it was, you got to realize within that you're dealing with people's kids, parents. You're dealing with whole families. You know what I mean? It's not, you walk down the street, you can't walk far without somebody be like, oh, that's Rupert Roberts kids, or the same thing with Aunt Ruby or Uncle Willie, which was
Right.
crazy. So all right, so all this is, they pretty much are very much known in Trenton. A lot of people know them and everything. So you're growing up with them and you're seeing this, and back to what you were saying. So you're like, what the hell is going on here? You're in church, and tell them how it is after church, because a lot of people don't know. And if for y'all don't know, my mom and aunt used to catch the Holy Ghost. If y'all, man, mom will catch the Holy Ghost. Let me tell you, yo, that was always wild to me. But the I know I'm going everywhere, but I'm just saying that was always wild. It's just flashed in my mind, thinking of different things when I go down this whole road and everything.
Right.
So all right, so boom, you back in church. After church lets out, everybody wants to come see the first family. Tell them how that experience was with you being new, coming into this new family.
Yeah. So church would end. Uncle Willie would come off the pulpit and stand in the middle of the church, the middle of the front of the church. He would just stand in the middle of the altar in front of the pulpit. Now, Mommy and Ruby sat right here
Mm-hmm.
on the first level of the level. So it was the pit, I guess,
Yeah.
of the church, and then there was a level, and then there was an upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So Mommy and Ruby sat right here. Church ended. It was a swarm of people who would come and talk to Mommy and Ruby. And then there
Mm-hmm.
was a line all the way down the middle of the church to talk to Uncle Willie.
Mm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're up here pretty much like, I mean, and we gotta think church starts at like 10.
Church started 10:45,
10:45, and it goes to damn near 1 to 2.
2 o'clock. Uncle Willie catch the Holy Ghost. We in there till 2:30. Yes.
Oh my goodness. So
Yes.
y'all in there this whole, I mean, Sunday was pretty much that's where you was. You
Whole
would,
day.
so after church, everybody would come swarm you. Then after that, we go downstairs to eat dinner.
Yeah.
So it was it was a whole experience. I can imagine. So all right, so you're growing up with this family, this new family, and now you move into the house, and I'm told that y'all have a nanny.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, like Nell Carter type nanny, like like what's your girl on
Yeah.
Different Strokes?
Right. Yeah. Miss what was her name? Miss oh God, they just did the reboot.
Oh,
Um
Miss Garrett,
Mrs. Garrett, yes.
Mrs. G.
Mrs. G, exactly. Yeah, they was fancy back in the 70s. They was fancy. They was like, we need a nanny. We need somebody watching the baby because we got things to do. I don't know.
And now you guys think we because when they first moved East State, now East State's Trenton, this is what East State Trenton looked like. It's very very hood.
Very
So
good.
pretty much, why did we wind up moving to White City, which was outside of, like, right outside of Trenton?
Because the adoption agency wouldn't let them keep me in the hood. Like, this is not a good environment. We need her to be safe.
Yeah.
Built this big, beautiful house out in White City. Jack was the builder, and Daddy would all every time we would drive into the driveway, back to the house that Jack built.
So wait a minute. So he just wound up just okay. Let me go build a house. I mean, this is in the '80s, yo.
No, no,
No,
no.
'70s.
70, yeah, 72. Mhm.
Wow. So 72, you like, listen, I need a house. If I'm gonna have this child, I gotta have a house. So go get a house built.
Right.
That's wild. Now, like I was saying, it was pretty fancy. I remember seeing pictures of Santa Claus, a white Santa coming to the house. Is this correct?
Yeah, every year. Every year. What? That was normal. What you mean?
Oh my goodness. Yo, this is like the Silver Spoons movie.
Right. Yeah.
Yo, and it's crazy. I laugh at it now because to know the road that me and you went down to deal, it's crazy that you look back and be like, yo, you had a pretty good life.
We have very good life. Very,
Pretty
very
good life. All right, so like I said, we a family of doing service, living in
yes.
a nice house. Aunt Ruby, Uncle Willie. Now, I'm hearing back then, even though you would do stuff in your community, you still had your community trying to break in. They was trying to break in the house. Tell me a story about one of the stories about them trying to break in Aunt Ruby's house. Um, breaking in the pastor's house.
Right. Yeah. One time that I remember specifically was Ruby was home by herself. Well, with Walethea. Walethea had to be like 3 or 4 because you weren't even born yet.
Yeah. Now, Walethea is our cousin who is also adopted. So
Yeah.
I
Family
have a
started
cousin adopted and a sister that's adopted. This is wild, you know. Continue.
the family started a ripple effect of adoptions in the family with me.
Right?
Yeah, so they were home alone and it wasn't uncommon. I think people knew that Ruby would be home at night with the baby by
Mm,
herself because Uncle Willie was always preaching somewhere.
mm-hmm,
And I think somebody got a wind of the fact that, you know, churches would take offerings for the visiting pastor.
mm,
So he had a lot of cash in the house.
mm.
And Ruby went to the door one night and she looked through the peephole and he said, Miss Sanders, I have a note for you. Um, I don't know who it should have been from, but
Mhm.
she went to open the door. She had the chain on the door. She went crazy. She had
Yeah.
the chain on the door, but he like when she went to have the note handed to her,
Mhm.
name was spelled Ruby Sanders, Sanders. Ruby didn't spell her name that way. So she
Mm.
knew something was up when
Oh,
she saw
wow.
the envelope. But then homeboy tried to rush the door. Like
Mm.
he tried to push in the door. He broke the chain on the door.
Uh,
And it was just a mother's adrenaline that kept her family safe that night.
wow.
Because she was able to just push the door back, close it, deadlock it, call the police. But yeah, there was always craziness going on with
Mm.
with the family. There's
Yeah.
always all kinds of crazy scandals, like paternity suits. Like, who does that to a pastor?
Yo, this was like I'm telling that's crazy because it was like the Black Knots Landing where yo, this was like the stories. All this different. I mean, because you gotta think of it. You were a preacher, and rest in power to Uncle Willie, Aunt Ruby. We lost a lot. We got it's not a lot of us left. So
Yeah, my
but
child is traumatized by death in this family. Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot. We've seen a lot of people pass. So all right, so you're in this whole new environment. You're about 5 years old. You got a nanny. You got Santa Claus coming to your house, and then not only that, mom, they also took in foster kids. They adopted
Yeah.
you and then took in foster kids from the schools that they were teaching at.
We always had random kids in the house. Always. Always.
Man, and I don't want to go too far, but I do remember one foster kid that robbed our asses. Tiger, I know you out there. I'm calling names, damn it, I'm calling names. I'm calling names.
Street.
Yo, this dude told me before I went to school, he was like, I'm gonna have a surprise when you get back. I was like, word. The guy
Man.
was all happy coming back home. Oh, that bastard. That bastard, that bastard. He got
Yeah.
my ass, boy. Oh, man. But it was just to me it was real good to see that they did that our parents and they was also part of organizations that gave
Right.
and did stuff for the communities. I believe Pops was part of the Frontiers organization. What you know about the Frontiers?
The Frontiers organization was a men's business organization in Trenton that Daddy was a founding member of,
Mhm.
and it helped and promoted Black business in
Mm,
Trenton.
nice, nice, nice.
Yeah, mommy
And
was
mom was
also
part
part of
of you said what?
mommy was also part of a Black women's
New
organization,
Trends.
the
Yeah,
New
that was
Trends. Yes, yep,
yeah, yeah. I remember a little bit. Like
yeah.
little fragments. But so it was just good to see that they were part of that. Now, what this being Black Power Media, what kind of I do remember having cards of Black inventors and different people. So I got my history of my Black history. What do you know of them that dealing in the whole movement? Did they do any types of stuff in the movement when stuff went down? What was they head at?
So mommy's entire family, the Fosters, because when mommy lost her mother, because Ivory died very young, um, our grandfather, Mackenzie Foster, moved the family to Birmingham, Alabama. And
Mm,
that was the birthplace of the civil rights movement. So
yeah.
her siblings and extended family, cousins, and everything worked very intricately with the King Foundation and the civil rights movement. Mommy
Mm,
knew the four little girls who were killed in the
mm.
16th Street bombing.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So, but when we
You helping
when they came to Trenton, They always did things to promote civil rights, Black history.
Mm,
Way before MLK Day was an actual holiday, we celebrated that his birthday with a breakfast in
mm-hmm.
conjunction with the AKA chapter of Trenton. Every
Mm.
year, one of the biggest social gatherings for the elite blacks in Trenton.
I remember with their little small ass glass of orange juice.
Right,
Minute Maid, more Minute Maid, please.
right.
Yo, that was wild. So all this stuff is happening, and I'm not even born yet. All
Right.
this, all this stuff is just before. This is before Ear Doctor BC, before BE, BED. So, so all right. So you are now. Let's see. You're around 6 or 7 years old, and they told mom that she couldn't have no more kids.
Right.
And what did mom and dad say?
The devil is a lie. No, no, that's not what they said. You were a absolute miracle. They weren't trying to have a baby. They got
So,
pregnant, and actually, before you, there were two lost pregnancies. Um, like you said, we're 7 years apart,
mm,
and they got pregnant for the third time, and miraculously, the miracle child is born.
so the first child mom has uh is a miscarriage,
No, not a
or
miscarriage.
oh,
It was a
actually came to
stillbirth.
birth. Okay, and
Stillbirth.
then
Hmm.
the next child was a miscarriage, or got to like month 9 and
Right.
died, and then
Yes.
I came,
And then you came.
and then after me
Yeah. There
was the
was a
miscarriage.
there was another loss. Yes.
So I would have had 3 brothers. Well, at least the ones that was born, I would have had 2 brothers. I don't know what the other one might have been. That's wild.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that pretty much, even hearing that story and knowing that at age 42,
Mommy was 42, 42 and
yeah,
a half. Yeah, I think
yeah,
mommy's
40, and they say you couldn't have no more kids, and then they like, yo, forget that. We gonna make this happen. And then bam, I'm
the
here.
miracle child. I'm like, what? He's never leaving? Wait, what? What? He's never leaving. Like, what? Wait, he's never
Yeah.
leaving? Yeah,
Yeah.
real mixed up with that. Like family coming in from all over the country to see this baby. I'm like, yay, family.
Yeah.
Hey, partying. Okay. They go home and this baby is still here. I'm like, something wrong with this picture. Where he leaving? Where did he
y'all
leave?
y'all left something.
Y'all left something over here. He's staying? What?
Word. Yeah. So you know what the wild thing is? That story right there makes me know I'm supposed to be here. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? It
Absolutely.
definitely gives me purpose. And with that purpose, it doesn't give me fear. Because it's like I know I'm supposed to be here for a reason. And I
Right.
hope I didn't figure it out yet. Cause I'm gonna keep going to, try to, you know, pursue whatever needs to be done. I know I have a great purpose. And listen, this is part of it, and you're part of it. I mean, your story is you are here for a reason, and that all this is like, yo, this is a to me, this was a great story. Just hearing about it, because it's like, yo, man, 2 people that wasn't supposed to be here is here,
Right.
and I'm blessed. I must say that, and I'm glad to call you my sister. And listen, this is part 1 of what we doing here, because we ain't even get to uh a after Ear Doctor. We still in BE before Ear Doctor.
Yeah.
So This is gonna be part one. I wanted to stop the story around here so we could be like, all right, because it's a lot more stuff to tell. Because once we get into the next part, you're gonna understand more about how where I got my hustle from, and just learn about where how I think, and why you do what you do, especially when you lose your parents as at a young age, and what
Right.
molds you to be the person you are, and molds you to be the person that you are through all the stuff you went through, Rory. So it's a blessing that we're here. I'm glad you could come through. You know what I'm saying? Much love and all that. And
Much love.
listen, we're gonna come back on part two and do it up.
Sounds good.
All right. Hey, cheers to you. I had to get a drink too for this one. Good Lord. And we out of here, y'all. This is the doctor's office. Once again, make sure y'all subscribe, like, hit that notification, and come on back. Black Power Media.
Black
Peace.
Power Media.
Yo.
Deuces.
All right. So, what's my biggest takeaway from all this is understanding the service element my parents brought to the community. So, with that, I understand how much more service I have to put forth to live up to the Batts name, as in to do the stuff that they did and take it to another level. Because we all want that. We all want to, strive and be better than people that came before us. At least that's what they want. You know what I mean? So you do your best. So what I'm gonna do is continue to serve and be my best for the community and do as much as I can. So for right now, this is part one. We're gonna take you to part two soon and go from my birth to my transition of my mother. So this is a nice amount of years that go through, and a lot of different stories and a lot of different pieces that fit into the puzzle of me and understanding the ear doctor. So thank you all for coming through, and please continue to stick around for this journey. Once again, I'll catch y'all next time. It's the doctor's office. Peace.